Welcome back, and joining us on the show now is Mr. Ajay Goyal. He's Chairman WPPS. Mr. Goyal, thank you so much for joining in. And there have been various reports suggesting that the government procurement, which is almost at 30 lakh tons now, is where we could see it now stopping at, capping at perhaps. What is your own sense?
Yes, I think, the procurement activity has almost come to an end, and so have arrivals. And so we're just at the threshold of 30 million tons, and just about a very small number to get that round number of 30 million, but we are almost there.
And the targets of 31.5, do you see that meeting at all? I mean, do you see a drag? Do you see it going above that, or do you think this is it now?
I think this is it, more or less. And I think the target of the government was quite ambitious, and that was primarily fulfilled because of bonuses declared in MP. And if you notice that originally the target in MP was 6 million tons, but looking at the arrivals and the procurement, because of the 175 rupee additional bonus, they raised the target by 2 million tons. And that's also almost there, like you have almost 7.8 million tons in MP. So MP has largely an MP and the bonus, and so has Rajasthan assisted in bringing in near about 2 million tons. So I guess 30 million tons is a good procurement for the government.
With that, Mr. Goyal, now is there more clarity on what is the kind of crop that we are looking at? Because when you look at the USDA numbers, the government numbers, the industry and trade numbers, they still quite stand varying in that sense.
So I think one thing common between everybody's stand is that this year's crop is about 3 to 4% higher than last year's crop, whatever everybody's number has been. And that is quite evident in the procurement and in the early arrivals that you will notice. So I guess the number is about 4% higher than last year's number of different various data collectors.
Mr. Goyal, there are various reports that, and this is something that we've been hearing from the government as well, that once the procurement is done and the private trade has had its fill as well, is when we could be looking at some limits coming in. Are you hearing anything of that sort? I know it's too early, or it's perhaps preempting it, but are you hearing something at all?
So I think there are 2-3 aspects to this. Number one is the rumor mills in WhatsApp never stop working. And again, today, there are highlighted reports that there would be a stock limit of 3,000 tons on trader. And one trader commented that there should be a permanent stock limit on traders. There's no point removing the limit for a month or two. But I guess the government is quite comfortable. If anything that is lacking is clear direction of policy. The markets, we are continuously playing a game of dumb charades with the government, and it's high time that the government realizes that and comes out with its clear-cut intentions or policy for this year, because the government has almost fulfilled its target of 30 million tons. And I think the only thing that moves this market is policy whispers that keep coming in. Otherwise, there is sufficient wheat in the marketplace.
What about the private trade? Because we, in my conversations with you and the rest, the other industry also suggests that the private trade has had its fill as well. As compared to last year, the government has sufficient holdings, and the private trade is quite comfortable as well.
So I think this year, the private trade and government both have more or less fulfilled what they intended to do. And UP is a surprise pack because there was no bonus in UP. And if you look at UP's procurement or into the government kitty, it's, I guess, around 1 million tons, which is considering it is the largest producer. So the stock is in UP. And that could, fulfill the market's needs in the coming months. And plus, there's the hope of government releasing its excess quantities at some point of time. So I guess it's a comfortable situation.
What is also your sense about the wheat product exports? I mean, this is a time that the government said it would start reviewing that too.
I think, the government wants to make itself very comfortable, not bringing any triggers for a price rise, and wheat product exports could become a trigger for that. But definitely the industry is clamoring for atta exports. As we all know, atta is a uniquely Indian product used by the Indian diaspora. And there is a need for the government to look into it because, a lot of money has been spent, effort has been made to create the marketing network, the distribution, the logistics, the entire supply chain. And for 2 years, it's quite a rigid policy to import wheat, to export atta for people who have created that marketplace. So we are still hopeful that the government at some point with some restrictions will open up wheat atta exports on a quantitative restriction.
What also is your sense on prices from here on with the in light of things that we've been talking about, enough a good production, a bumper crop, enough inventories with the government, with the private trade as well? Where does that leave the prices then?
So I think the prices currently, if you consider the bonuses paid by the government in MP and Rajasthan and the base price, are ruling in tandem with that. So it's about 2750 in Delhi, which I feel is like the appropriate price considering the government's bonus in MP and Rajasthan. So we are around the same price levels at which the government has procured. And I think now it will be demand that will take over the price scenario. If we have a very strong demand in the coming few months, you will definitely see markets move up a bit above cost of carry.
That was my next question, really, on what is your sense on the demand going forward? Because, yes, we have good stocks, we have a great crop, and with the kind of monsoons that we have, perhaps the next season would be quite positive as well. But what about the demand?
So I guess as far as demand is concerned, large users are well covered. Everybody has taken from a 40 to 60% hedge in terms of physical stocking, the large pan-India players. But demand is, expected to go up, move up in the coming few months if the weather, as we have early monsoon. So definitely we would see a spurt in demand in the next 15, 20 days.
What is the average increase in demand growth that we have seen collectively for wheat and wheat products in India?
About 1.5%, I would say.
And that has been ongoing for a decade, would you say, or there's been a move there?
No, so it's quite flattened now, but definitely during Corona times, sales of noodles went up. Otherwise, the biscuit industry has had a good run where biscuit demand was going up by almost 7-8% per annum, but that's almost 5 or 7 years ago. But there are new segments where demand is high. But overall, the total quantum of demand, I guess, is about 1 to 1.5% per annum moving up.
And the production increase has been to what tune?
So production has kept pace. This year we have caught up well for whatever additional demand we have. So I guess this year we would be a slightly surplus year. Even last year was a surplus year as far as government stocks are concerned. But of course, the price levels were a bit high.
Point taken, Mr. Goyal. Thank you so much for joining in. So strong numbers coming in from wheat there. A couple of factors. One is to watch is on what do we see in sense of product exports. And the second is whether or not the government brings in any restrictions in sense of holdings there. Mr. Goyal, as always, thank you so much for joining in. And with that, that's all the time that we have on the show. Business Lunch will take all the action ahead.